Hello, everyone out there in internet land. Well, welcome if you're watching. If you're not, you're missing out on something way more amazing than anything else that's going on. So let's dive right into it. The only announcement I really want to make sure that everybody knows, I will end up putting links in the Twitch chat, but there's also, if you go to our YouTube channel, even on our main page of our Twitch channel, you can catch up on these episodes. So if you're feeling a little behind and like, what is happening? Go back. All of them are uploaded on our YouTube and on our Twitch page. So make sure and check that out if things get a little confusing. So other than that, I am going to give it right over to you guys because this is really enjoyable for me. So, all right, guys, it's all you, Michael.
Hello and welcome to Strange Generations, a nightmarish journey through the shadows of America, one generation at a time. This is the second of 3 episodes of our 1929 arc, which is a continuation of the first 3 games which happened in the 1890s. So we got one more to go before the 20s wrap up, and the stories of these characters come to a close. So very exciting. Let's go ahead and meet those characters who will be exploring a world of, Jazz Age is kind of over. A world of, let's say, depression. A great one, if you will. In an episode I'm calling Eldritch Jazz. Let's start with Kat.
Hi, I'm Kat. I'm playing Desdemona Hartford. I am a bit of a socialite, I suppose, even though I'm getting a bit long in the tooth to be a socialite. But that's fine. One can't be a wheeling, in my case, adventurer forever. Yes, I am in a wheelchair, but I don't make a big deal about it, and it certainly hasn't slowed me down in any way from pursuing my main hobby and calling of exploring the world and discovering ancient civilizations and leaving them where they are. For goodness sakes, explorers, whatever you find out there doesn't belong to you. Let the people in the country know about it so they can enjoy it themselves. You don't need to take it away to a museum and put it in garish lighting for everybody to look at. Any rate, I'm back home where I grew up, and everything's horrible as usual here. I look forward to returning to New York or Paris or possibly Berlin, although everything's getting a bit dreadful there too right now. La-di-da, fiddle-dee-dee, somebody's trying to raise eldritch horrors, probably for some completely ridiculous reason. That's it for me.
All right. Very, very awesome to have Desdemona with us. Joining us as well, we have Nick.
Yep, I am Nick, and I am once again playing Brian Kelly, the little Irish man now.
Not so paranoid. Little now. He's all grown up.
All grown up and still paranoid and superstitious. Definitely getting more of that now. Now that he's come face to face with an Eldritch horror. And his last game, he got his arm broken, but he defended himself after pulling a knife.
But yeah, some rough luck, but you survived.
Yeah, very rough luck. But hey, we'll see what happens with this.
Always awesome to see Brian Kelly around. We also have, joining us once more, is Marvin.
Oh, hey, I'm Marvin, and for this game, I'm going to be playing World War I veteran Isaac Vorman. And with Isaac's experience with the supernatural, sure, there are monsters out there. They are scary. They kill people and everything. Yes, but the real monsters, as Isaac has disappointedly come to know, tend to be humans. They're the ones summoning these monsters. They're the ones selling out their fellow human beings for power. And he's just not going to let them get away with it anymore. one particular person he has on his hit list was this Eustace guy in the last game. Isaac really wanted to shoot him, and hopefully he'll get his chance.
We will have to see. But yes, we'll check in with Eustace Gaines Dally in just a little bit. We are also very happy to be joined by a certain Big Jack Rabbits, played by Dallas.
Hey everybody, I'm Dallas, yep, super happy to be playing John Rabbits, also known as Big Jack to some. Being a lot older, he's been busy, hoping the whole time things would never resurface again. But of course, keeping in touch with Des the whole time, and of course then seeing Brian and Isaac together in the same place, it could only mean one thing. Things haven't gone away, it's only going to get more intense. So he saw them prepared, was totally shocked, but then figured, you know what, Des has asked, to have a lot of things prepared for something like this, and was happy to join in for sure. Letting some things out that if it consumes fuel, if you turn to horsepower, he's into it. So we'll see what can come up next.
Always good to have a mechanic on your team. All right, so here's a little quick recap before we begin the adventure. A grim Halloween indeed has reached Hallowed Hollow and the world. Black Thursday gave way to Black Monday, with the stock market plummeting into oblivion and taking countless fortunes with it. Now a sense of chaos has gripped everyone. Apocalypse in the classical sense. An unveiling. The false laughter of the 20s meant to cover up the abyss inside, blown away like so many cobwebs in the wind. The bare bones are left, including the hatred that makes America what it is. Throughout Hallowed Hollow's underworld, that hatred threatens to erupt in war. Tensions between the Irish and Italian crime syndicates have risen to a fever pitch, with reports of hijackings, ambushes, and attacks, adding to the desperation that comes from sudden poverty. But one person is happy. He saw it coming after all, and he thrives off hatred. Eustace Gaines Dally, the Grand Palatine of the Order of the Pale Petunia, is intent on feeding off that hate and rocketing to the heights of power, with a little help from the unholy abyss of all things. So, following yesterday's escapades at City Hall, where you guys took on a blobby, gooey, eldritch creature called an Abraxanite and survived, as well as spotted a fish man, and of course were reunited with your ghostly schoolboy chum, Darby Dearborn, who, by the way, has 5 out of 7 psychic tokens left. You have a day until Nile Night occurs. I will say that Isaac is going to get a phone call that morning, but for the rest of the previous day before Halloween, I was going to say All Hallows Eve, but that's not right. That is Halloween. So on All Hallows Eve, is there anything else you guys want to do with the rest of the day, or should we cut ahead to Isaac's phone call?
Can I reach out to a private doc that Des might have on call for Brian?
Sure. It's always good to have a sawbones when things get dangerous.
I do have a rather large fleet of doctors.
I figured as much, and probably some kind of book on hand where contacts would be stationed or something like that. But I'm looking at Brian's arm, and I'm not so sure it's gonna do so good. So
It's definitely swelling and hurting like a motherfucker.
All right, I think someone's gonna have to roll a charm. It's gonna be a really low roll.
Well, I got an 18, so
Okay,
I hope that being a really high roll doesn't hurt.
Yeah, 5 was the difficulty level, but I would say, the best sawbones you got on your in your Rolodex shows up. And he looks it over and he's like, I don't know, maybe he's like a W.C. Fields type. But of course not soused. But he's like, now see here, you can't be sticking this in a lion's mouth. I'll set it and put it in a sling, but the boy needs bed rest.
Well, if that's what you think, Doctor, then I suppose that's what he will have to have, at least for the day.
Yes, I'll stay right where I am.
All right, I'll get a sling for you, put it in a cast, get you some pills for the pain. That's about what I can do.
Where's Dr.
Yeah,
Kate?
unfortunately,
Doctor.
like, this game isn't like, you can't, like, Urban Shadows or Mass where, like, oh, you're totally healed. Or, like, it's in Dungeons & Dragons, I take a long rest, a night's sleep, and all my hit points are back. You're just going to have to deal with a busted arm for, like, the rest of the game.
You know, something I've been thinking about, and I don't mean to offend you, Brian, but perhaps leaving the fighting to the two that are better at it might be a good idea from here on out.
What you talking about?
Well, I mean, simply the fact that, you've gotten knifed and beaten horribly.
I was just underestimating my opponents.
Well, certainly, but you're not in any sort of state to fight now.
Put a pistol in my hand and I should be fine.
Yeah, okay, of course we could all shoot guns. Just be
I
careful.
can always use my other hand as well.
Well, yes, but if you engage in fisticuffs, they're definitely going to punch
Well,
you
of course I'm
sling
not going to
on.
do fisticuffs.
Okay, then. I mean... All I'm simply
That's what
saying
got
is
this
that
in
you
the
have
first
a...
place, was me
You have,
trying to...
you have a military veteran in Big Jack,
Or, I don't know. Just thought I could... There was only one of them at first. Guess he had me a little bit harder than I thought he did, so...
What Connor's been telling me is that you've been doing a lot of book learning, and perhaps that might be a better way to apply yourself right at the moment. Maybe we can do some research into this Ordo Oculus before we simply wander into their party.
So, I mean, all that book learning didn't really help me to identify whatever the hell that creature was.
Michael, what were they called again, those creatures?
Abraxanites.
The dice.
Abraxanites.
Abraxanites. Well, I wouldn't worry too much about them. I'd worry more about whether or not Abraxas itself shows up.
And if all else fails, you can always just throw a grenade at them.
Got one of those. It's one of the things I don't usually carry on me.
Oh, yes, I had my wheelchair loaded up with grenades last time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Forgot about that.
All right. Well, speaking of grenades, Isaac,
Mm-hmm.
you receive a phone call from Dominique Dupree, who is the queen pin of the Shallows. She is a Caribbean immigrant who has risen to who runs the lucrative numbers rackets in the Shallows of Hallowed Hollow.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And she says, well, little Isaac, you've come home.
Dominic.
Or
How's everything?
Dominique.
Dominique.
You can call me Miss Dupree.
I do remember that. How are you doing, Miss Dupree?
Well, I've been better. Don't suppose you've got your ear to the ground, have you?
Always do. It's how I survived this long, at least.
Well, maybe you know about what's been happening with the ghosts attacking our Irish and Italian counterparts. The Duppies.
Not specifically, no. I don't pay too much to the supernatural at the moment. I'm more grounded now. ever since Tulsa.
Well, that evil, that was all men, and I fear another sort could come here if what's going on continues.
So, what do you need me to do? Got everyone else here, but all I've got to offer is a gun.
I could use that, and your friends. I'm arranging a peace meeting between Goglio and Halloran over at my joint, Queenie's, there in the Shallows. You see, these attacks that the Shadow Men, the Duppies, have been pulling off. Naturally, the Italians suspect the Irish, and the Irish suspect the Italians, threatening to turn the whole city into a gangland battlefield. And if that happens, there's a lot of chaos, shooting in the streets, innocents caught in the crossfire. Who do you think will be able to rise to power as someone who can bring order to chaos?
Not exactly sure myself, Mr. Dupree. How about you tell me?
It's Dally.
Ah, Dally.
That's his whole thing. Always
Oh.
talking about the dangers of demon rum, of gangsterism, corruption, immigrants.
Good buzzwords for a racist son of a bitch.
True enough. But if there's a gang war, and he sells himself as someone bringing law and order, it could certainly help him rise to power, especially if he controls the law and order and the chaos as well.
Well,
So, come to my joint tomorrow morning. I'll have the two over for a bit of a breakfast and a meeting. Hopefully it will go smoothly, but I won't disdain the extra security.
no problem on my part. I'll get the crew together. And hopefully, Dally won't be too much of a problem in the coming days. I got something for him. And Isaac clicks the phone off.
Oh, you mean you, boop.
Yeah. Or slams it down.
Yeah, they were like in two pieces back then. You had to be like, hello?
Yeah, put it on the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the 1920s version of slamming the phone down is.
I'm sure there was a cool 1920s version of like, woo, just throwing that speaker and receiver around.
Yeah. I mean, for a lot of the phones, it's that sort of, the weight of it pushes the little lever down.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the way of doing that aggressively was to not even use the little cup. You just bang the lever with your hand.
So cool.
Yeah.
All right, so the next morning, Halloween day, Queenie's, pretty decent, like, speakeasy gambling joint located in the Shallows. I think Isaac contacts you guys. Are we bringing anything? Any preparations? I see Desi there has her hand raised.
Yeah. When Desi was talking to Brian earlier about let's research into Ordo, whatever it is.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
She did want to do that.
Oh, totally. Okay.
To research both Abraxas and Ordo Oculus, so that she's not just going into the thing blind.
Oh, good point. I'll let you do one, and then someone else has to roll for the other.
Oh.
I can do that.
Yeah. What are
also,
we rolling?
This would be brains, I'm pretty sure.
Also, would Isaac have mentioned the W's that she mentioned?
Mm-hmm. Everything she told me, I'm gonna mention to you guys.
Okay, because I wanted to see if Isaac knew, since he's sort of skilled at sort of folklore monsters, see if he knew anything from what he's heard, what he's learned.
Okay. I'm probably gonna make you roll for Duppy. It's like a Jamaican West Indies term for like ghost or phantom, unquiet dead.
Okay. All right.
I think that possibly it might be better for Desi to be the one to do Ordo Oculus, but I was hoping that you might be able to do that by inquiring around social circles.
Ooh,
And
okay.
possibly with her sister Bianca.
Yeah, I love that.
So not
All
a
right,
brain
so-
so much as
Sure.
All right, so you're rolling with charm then.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Makes sense.
And so I guess Brian's on Abraxas duty.
Sure. I can do that.
On Abraxas duty.
Oh, I finally got a bad social roll. I only got a 7.
Okay.
I mean, a 7's not terrible, but you know, compared to what he usually gets.
I'd say yourself an adversity token.
Okay.
You learn just sort of like what you would learn from reading like a newspaper, a gossip columnist.
Mhm.
That they're like dilettantes in the occult. And Bianca's like, seances, witchcraft, tray, chic.
Is it Trey Chic or is it Trey Gauche?
Well, I suppose the old King Tutty business is a little 1922.
Ugh.
But Ordo Oculus, they know how to put on a show. I'll say that much.
Oh, I'm certain, and I'm certain that everybody out here in this provincial nightmare of our hometown is quite into it. No offense, Bianca, I know you still live here, but it is dreadful.
I would say none taken, but that's not the case.
By the way, Bianca, how have you been doing with talking to ghosts? I remember you could do that as a child. Has that just completely fled your abilities?
Now and then I see things, but trying my best to live a normal life, as hard as that may be in these times.
Yes, well, as long as you invested in the 2 Gs as I advised you to do, you should be fine.
Oh, well enough. It's Delia that I'm worried about, and not simply in matters financial, if you catch my drift.
Oh, has she gotten addicted to something, or caught something, or birthed something?
Perhaps all three.
Oh. Father's favorite. We should know how to look out for herself by now, and if she hasn't, then that's on her. Still, I can check in
suppose.
on her.
Well, sisterly affection and whatnot.
Certainly, and once you meet somebody that has any, I'll certainly talk to her about it.
Oh man, I love these witty riposts. All right, so yeah, you learn just like, the basics.
Okay, moving on from me.
All right, Brian, how'd you roll about Abraxas go?
It was a 13.
Okay, pretty solid. I would say you neatly passed. So Abraxas is a mysterious deity. The word is Greek. It appears in the Gnosticism frequently. It's occasionally a demon, a being called an archon, which is sort of like a Gnostic demon. And this is Michael speaking. Gnosticism is a big old blank spot for me, so if I'm getting stuff wrong about it, please forgive me. But the word Abraxas does appear in like several different faiths in several different contexts. But all of them refer to a being of immense power and immense unknowability. That's a word, isn't it? Oh, it's an album by, yes. Also an album by Santana. Kat's mentioning that. Very true. Yeah, a creature of like, or a being of fathomless power, ineffable is a word that comes to mind, incomprehensible by humans, both in its morality, its very existence. Contemplating it too much, definitely a road to madness. And if it does want anything, humans can't understand it. But it can be called on and summoned, or at least an attempt can be made. All right. Any other preparations before we cut ahead to this gangland peace meeting?
trying to think if there's anything that Brian would know that like would be a good combatant against ghosts.
Okay, well, I can say like you can if we're like in the middle of it and you have like something you want to bring along, you can just that you think your character would have, like you can just pull it out.
Yeah, even me as a character doesn't really know like any sort of like anti-ghost weapons. So
Isaac,
Mm-hmm.
Isaac, I'm a little confused about what I'm to be doing at a gangland peace meeting. I feel like my presence at a gangland peace meeting is going to cause more problems than it would solve.
We're mostly there to just keep the peace and make sure Dally doesn't exploit them.
Well, is Dally going to be there?
In spirit, I would say.
Well, I think perhaps the best thing for me to do is to wait out in the car with the engine running, and in case things go south, I could drive us away quickly. I don't think I'm going to blend in very well at the meeting.
I was just about to ask, what do you think our next thing after this may be? To get somewhere fast, or to, do something possibly offensive?
Hmm.
Well, I'm not really sure because I'm curious about these duppies that you were talking about, little ghosts. Are they supposed to be interfering with the meeting in some way?
I'm not too sure. Madame Dupree actually mentioned if they were. Out of character, I have a short-term memory, so
Yeah, she was afraid that those the duppies were going to crash the party.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to head back in the shop and grab a tank off of the wall and connect it by a hose into the engine and do a quick little gauge metering on it real fast. And tell Des that when the needle hits this, you click this button and you'll take off faster than you've ever done before.
Okay. In the car. Excellent.
okay. So it
By the way,
seems-
Michael, I know that flight would be a logical thing for driving a car, but her flight is low based upon the fact that she's in a wheelchair, not based on her inability to drive a car.
Yeah.
Brains might go to it.
I think maybe it depends on like the context.
Yeah.
Like if you're, crashing into something and want to stay in the car, grit could be used.
Okay. I was just making sure it's not going to be straight flight rolls over and over again because she's definitely going to bomb that.
Maybe brains for like
Yeah.
tricky maneuvers or fight if you want to use the car as a weapon.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
All right.
So I think she's going to wait out in the car because a gangland negotiation with her is going to be weird. So I'm just going to mute myself for most of this until I come in. But she is going to give a signal if something weird is going on outside of like 2 quick horn blasts.
I also did like a quick Google search, and apparently cold iron is good against ghosts. So
Okay,
Brian will
cool.
be taking his usual cold iron knife and finding some cold iron bullets for just in case.
Cold iron bullets. That sounds pretty nice. If you have any spares, Brian, do you mind if I can have some?
I'll see what I can pull up.
all right.
And of course, Isaac's bringing grenades.
Of course. So, suitably armed and armored, you arrive outside the Queenie's. You can see the meeting is already going on and not going the best. Dominic Dupree, tall, willowy woman in like a gold and silver striped dress, very thin hair fused into like a flapper curl, goes ahead and lets you in. Some of her goons are like lounging around in the corners, but mostly the place is taken up. Big table in the middle. You have Halloran, Lucky Nettie Halloran, and his boys from the Fianna Fáil Social Club on one side, and then Cesare Gaglio and his mafia brethren on the other. And they're just sort of going back and forth, being like, "Your boys knocked off our liquor shipment. Don't you pretend it wasn't you." And Gaglio being like, "For all we know, you knocked it off yourself. probably so drunk you couldn't see straight, ran into the river. And it's kind of going back and forth. Dupree is like rolling her eyes, trying to get some order. But it seems like it might take an outsider's voice to put a stop to this before it goes from peace to war right there.
Who's being ignored the heaviest?
You mean like of you or of the two?
Out of my perspective, who seems to not be getting a voice in? Since they're arguing back and forth, is there one person that doesn't seem to be getting a voice in, or is Dupree the one that's hoping to finally say something when it calms down?
Dupree is sort of being the host here, and she doesn't want a gang war. But right now it seems like they're kind of at each other's throats. They're not really. They're sort of going back and forth. Like neither side is really calming down.
Okay. Can I call upon the spirit of Andre the Giant at the moment and sort of just be like, everybody listen! And sort of maybe do a nice thunderclap at the same time?
Ooh, I like it. Okay, go ahead and roll Brawn.
Yes, appeal to force.
Come on.
Not too hard, this one.
Andre's not with me tonight. That's a 4 on a D20, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, I was going to say a 5 or 6 was the one for this.
Dang it.
Yourself an adversity token.
Yep.
Is there any way we could help by any chance? Because I think I still have an adversity token for last time. And I do have loyalty.
Does that move let you give an adversity token?
I think so. Let me see if I can find what exactly it does.
I forgot to bring it over to my computer, actually.
No. And I have a totally
loyalty trait there.
Let me see. Let's see. One sec.
You do have Darby Dearborn with you as well. Currently,
I can't find it.
Loyal is if you spend an adversity token, you give 2 points as an assist rather than 1.
Okay.
Okay. So you go ahead and make that a success if you want.
Okay. So I'll give my adversity token to Dallas' character.
All right. Bring it up to a 6, which is over the 5 limit.
In a way, I guess Isaac could help is firing his gun in the air.
Well, it could be the right move or the wrong move considering, because the two clusters of gangsters cease their arguments, totally fall silent. All of them looking over their shoulder, staring straight at Big Jack and Isaac.
Big John, if you say a word.
Now that you gentlemen have calmed yourselves for a moment, do you think we could get business underway? Isaac, nice move.
Halloran says, only business? I should have with this greaseball, seeing what grave I ought to plant him in. His boys have been raiding my shipments. They shot up one of my clubs just the other day. And he's got the gall to say that it wasn't him, and to accuse me of doing the same thing.
Now, gentlemen, did you not think that there possibly could be a third party working here? An outside force, perhaps.
Gaglio's like, third party? Someone else muscling in?
More like, now don't say that I'm crazy. I mean, who knows? I could be. But do you ever think that there might be something supernatural at work here?
Gaglio and Halloran both cross themselves.
Now, like anyone else, I can understand how you might think that your competition might be moseying in, but do you ever think that possibly there's someone or something trying to pit you two against each other to feed off of the chaos?
Halloran's like, you thinking like some sort of Nosferatu?
I wouldn't say Nosferatu, but I mean, specters have a tendency to pull pranks and be, not so kindly to those. But I mean, those usually are fairly benevolent to usually stick into certain areas, but there could be someone pulling the strings from those as well.
Think about it.
It's like a Strega, perhaps. Like a witch.
Could be. Or just someone playing around with books they don't need or shouldn't be.
Ryan, I think you're going to have to roll a charm over here. But they're definitely leaning towards it, so it's not... criminals are a cowardly and superstitious lot, I seem to remember. A certain Batman saying, so...
Let's see.
Not too hard.
Ooh! That's an explosion.
Nice.
Oh, wow. Okay, what is it so far?
6.
Ooh, okay, go ahead and roll again.
With another 4.
Okay.
So a
So
10.
10 total.
Yeah, I would say difficulty for this one's like a 4.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll check in with Desi in a second, but I will just say both of them now seem very much into the idea that, like, the devil is at work here. So, Desi, you're outside in the car when 3 other cars come, like, rumbling down the street and pulling over to a halt. They stop right there in the street. It goes like high noon quiet, which seems pretty odd for a busy city street. You still get like newsboy calling out his wares, food stall up there, but your attention just fixates on these 3 black automobiles. And then you can see they got sort of tinted windows. You're able to kind of peer into the back one that's facing you. And there is, hunched over, a pale-faced, big-eyed, fishy figure.
Got it. You didn't need to cut to me, by the way. I was giving a thumbs up, like, because they were doing good, not because I wanted attention, but...
Oh, okay. Well, no worries. It would seem like it's a good... Like, this is the time when those cars do show up.
Gotcha. So yeah, she sees the fishy figure in there. This doesn't seem worth it. It seems like a double honk right now would cause more problems than solutions.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Mhm.
So she's gonna wait it out a little bit, and if there starts being movement, then
Okay.
then she'll do more. Has she been noticed by the fishy figure? That's the question.
Give me... I was going to say like a stealth check, but that's not...
That doesn't
do that for
exist.
this game. Maybe give me a brains roll to like kind of
Sure.
stay hidden.
Well, that's a 1.
Give yourself an adversity token.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't explode further downwards than failing, right? Should I keep rolling to go into
terrifying.
negatives?
No, if that game worked this way, if you could like just cascades of failure.
I mean, it was at a 2, and if you subtract a 9 from it, because if it explodes, I don't think it explodes downwards though, right? Did we determine that already? It's just a failure. She just failed.
Okay.
Which means that despite the fact that I said she wouldn't have done it, she honks the horn twice.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Yeah, things get real active after that.
I mean, I'm just saying that to me seems logical for what the failure would mean, is that she's like, oh, this seems suspicious. Honk honk.
Totally. Okay. Fish face, like, you see him spinning around, like, your eyes meet. He makes some, like, excited motions. and then a form in a dark overcoat shoves him down. The doors of all those cars open up, and then this happens. So inside of Queenie's, the speakeasy, all eyes drift to the windows facing the street. Fall leaves dance, stirred up by the hum of engines. A trio of dark automobiles, the sort of flivver cranked out of any auto plant. Outside, 3 figures in overcoats and fedoras. Below the brims, a sort of gooey, pliant darkness split with emerald streaks. You've seen it before. These are Abraxanites, coaxed into roughly human form. They look like something out of a nightmare. But the Tommy guns in their hands, those are all too real. They level the guns at Queenie's, readying for a Halloween St. Valentine's Day massacre. Thankfully, that those honking horns, while it did give away Desi's position, also gives you a little bit of a warning. So Halloran says, like, what's the rumpus? And then everyone stares outside, sees those Tommy guns. There's a cry of, like, hit the deck, right before they start firing. So Isaac, Brian, Big Jack, what are you doing?
Grenade.
Oh, man. Okay. Why don't you roll fight for this one, I think.
Yeah. As soon as those guns open fire, Isaac gets a flashback to the war. And it's like, oh, crap, the Germans. Well, got something for them. And he's going to chuck a grenade at them. This is my D20, so this is good. 19!
Oh, man. All right. You just, like, pull the pins, send that pineapple flying through the air. It lands in the first car, and kaboom. Car is blown to pieces. The Abraxanite standing in front of it is just turned to like a gooey spray, which like coats the shattered window. And by then, like, bullets have, shut off the place, chewed up the inside. Probably a few goons were cut down or injured by the blast. Tommy guns do fire pretty big, nasty bullets. But yeah, that grenade definitely stopped them from killing too many people, including Halloran and Gaglio. Oh, I see Desi.
May I do something when they start opening fire, or even before they've started to open fire?
Maybe like as they're opening fire. But yeah, go ahead.
She's gonna drive the car into them.
Whoa. Okay.
Just vehicular homicide.
Oh man. All right, give me a fight roll.
Okay, she's not good at those, but she's gonna try her best.
Probably not too hard. Difficulty maybe 5?
Well, she didn't get that.
How'd you do?
I rolled a 2 on the die, and I think I can only spend 1 adversity token. Or can you spend multiples? Can you spend multiples?
Yeah.
Whatever you have.
Cool, I spend 3 adversity tokens to get a 5.
Yep.
Ooh. Okay. So as they're like just spraying the Tommy guns, Desdemona takes the Roadster. Actually, Big Jack, how would you describe this vehicle that you gave her?
Oh, this is the 4-seater because we all had to go there, right? So this is the one with like the modified V12, probably like a V16 actually, something like that. It's got like it's got pep, it's got beefy wheels, because it's meant to take the force of this engine, like throttling you forward at like, I don't know what speed this would be, but yeah, the amount of force she's able to generate into these people, even if they're 20 feet away, is ridiculous.
Yeah, and she probably backed up slightly and then catapulted into them, which is why they squeezed off some rounds first.
All right, yeah, totally. So you just come careening by. It's like first one you go through, it's very weird mutant. The guy in RoboCop who goes through the toxic waste.
Yeah,
just splattered all over your windshield. Other one goes under your wheels. You can see it like. It's not like you imagine hitting a person would be, perhaps thankfully. It's almost like driving through rain. just a real slight bit of pressure and pitter patter on your windows, except for that goo is sticking and kind of hurting your visibility.
Sure. She turns on the windshield wipers.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, the goo is like splashed off to the side. I would say there's like some more of them in the cars, and you can see their engines are revving up and they're starting to leave.
Okay.
Desi, you notice something else. That fish man, he like pokes his head out of the back of the door, and you hear him crying out in this kind of croaking voice like, "Help!" before a tendril of the glowing emeralds, kind of glistening oil slick Abraxanite skin wraps around him and pulls him back into the car.
Oh, that won't do.
What's that?
That won't do. But I'm gonna now pause because other things are happening.
Absolutely. Let's check in with what is Big Jack doing?
As the gunfire and everyone hit the deck, we're at a speakeasy, right?
Oh, totally.
Can I spend an adversity token to find something highly flammable and tossable
Ooh. Oh, yes, please.
of the highest potency of liquor? Some
Man.
bootleg bathtub near just grain alcohol level, I'm sure, somewhere, right?
Oh, this stuff is the same, just high level, terrible, bad bathtub gin that, like, according to family lore, killed my grandfather's father.
I didn't mean to bring. Yeah, sorry.
No, not at all. It's like I mean, I don't know if that really happened. It's sort of like
Gotcha.
My mother's side of the family legend that like, oh yeah, he drank that bathtub gin and it was too much for him. Don't know if it really happened or not. Some family legend there. But anyway, yes, very potent bathtub booze. You get a bottle of that there.
Yes, I'm gonna try to Molotov that out to the car that might be nearest to advance towards Dez or cause like a problem. Whoever seems to be mobile next. That's who I want to sort of toss that at.
All right. Give me a fight roll.
Okay. 7. 7 flat. Yep. No bonus to that.
Okay.
On a D8.
I would say, yeah, that's gonna be a pretty like decent success. Could be a bit better, but like I think the car is immobilized. You hurl it neatly like onto it. It smashes over the hood. Flames start licking the inside. Gas tank's probably gonna go in a little bit. But the Abraxanites are like, you see them kind of slither out. They're still dressed in those overcoats, still with the Order of the Pale Petunia flowers, which look kind of standing out in their gooey coats. And they're able to go into the third of the cars, the one containing the Fishman, which accelerates and starts to speed away. Let's check in with Brian. Brian, you do have a busted arm still.
I do, yeah. I think for the time being, it seems like everything is under control with everyone else. So I will sort of stay out of the firing and just sort of get ready to move once it's all semi calmed down, or at least gotten to a point where we can move.
All right. So the remaining car is speeding away. Desi, you want to try something here as it turns the corner?
Yeah, she was going to take off after it.
Okay.
Because
All right.
this car is like super boosted, apparently. So she's going to try to get ahead of them, then turn back around and do a game of chicken.
Ooh, okay. Give me... Let's see. I think this would be grit.
Yeah, that's what I was aiming for. So she's trying to get them to sort of steer off course by just barreling at them. like a maniac.
All right, probably a 6.
Okay.
For this
I've
difficulty.
got a 7. 6 plus 1.
Okay, so you accelerate, zoom ahead, spin around, do like an expert Tokyo drift. I don't know what's the if that's the right
Basically.
term, but you speed over to face this other automobile, and they like hit the brakes, and for a while you guys are just sort of like staring at each other still.
Yeah.
The door slams open again,
Mhm.
and Fish Face, he's got a name, but we'll call him that for now. Spills his way out and again cries out like, "You have to help!"
She pulls her car up to Fish Face for him to get in, and get in. I don't know your name, but get in.
Okay, he tries to, but then the those tendrils start reaching over and grabbing him.
Oh, for
From the
goodness
car.
sakes!
The
We've
Abraxanites are. Oh, go ahead.
We've mentioned before about all the grenades.
Mhm.
Like when the tendrils start coming out, she just goes
Okay,
trying to throw it into the car.
not a difficult throw because you're right next to him, but I mean they are in a moving vehicle, so.
Oh, I thought they slowed down to stop.
Oh yeah, that's true. You're in a
Yeah.
moving vehicle, is what is going on. I think.
Yeah. I moved up and I stopped to let Fish Guy in.
Okay.
And you said the tendrils start coming out, and then Desi went, "Oh, for goodness sake!" Wow. The grenade.
All right. Give me a. This is gonna be fight.
Yeah.
Probably difficulty 4 or 5. Oh, how we do?
Well, I've got an 8 so far, which means it exploded.
Ooh. Okay. Go ahead and roll again.
10.
Ooh. So 10 total.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. You chuck the grenade in. Fish Face lands right next to you in the car. He's able to sort of slip out of those tendrils.
Mm.
Their car rolls ahead a bit, and then the grenade goes off, blasting them to shreds.
Well, I've got some other friends that you just have to meet. By the way, my name's Desdemona Hartford. It's a pleasure to meet you. What's your name, sir?
Z-
She says while shifting gears with her hands.
and he's like, Zacharias,
Well, Zacharias, it's a lovely name.
thanks.
Normally, I wouldn't be all like, "Oh yeah, of course she has a grenade." It's just you've brought up how many grenades these idiots.
No,
are
you
carrying.
guys, you established that you established your character's love of grenades way earlier, so don't worry. I will assume grenades unless told otherwise.
I just realized that grenades are the third G. Gold, guns, and grenades.
Yep.
Well, from now on, I have to tell people that I have a 3G network.
Oh man. All right, some sirens are blowing in the distance. Queenie says, "Local law here answers to me. You should go."
Seems we do have a third party here.
And I hope you all remember that. It's not each other that you should be fighting. It's them with
Yeah.
the fish.
By the way, those things are called Abraxanites. In case you didn't know that, look it up.
Halloran's like, "That's a mouthful."
Do some reading. It'll be good for you.
Servants of a ancient creature called Abraxas.
Jesus. Well,
Yeah.
Halloran and Gaglio says, "Look, if you ever need any help from a friend of ours, a friend of mine, just mention my name. I owe you one."
I've already forgotten the name of Fish Boy because I forgot to write it down.
It's
Zacharias.
Zacharias.
Zacharias. Okay.
Then, guess we better split off then.
Before the police get here.
All right. You guys dangle just in time with Zacharias in tow. You have a few hours until Nile Night on Halloween. What do you do?
So what's your story there, Fishman?
My story? He's like, oh, I wish I could sweat.
Do you drink? You might need one.
Brother,
You do.
I don't need just a drink. I need to swim.
Oh, we need to get you back in the water then. By the way, do you enjoy when people call you fisherman? I've been kind of avoiding it because it seemed like it might be a bit of a slur.
Look, you saved me. I suppose you can call me that if you want to.
Well, I'd really rather not. I'd really rather call you Zacharias since that's your
Yeah,
name.
that's a better. Yeah, call me that instead. The term that people have. Oh, go ahead, Isaac.
No, just say Zacharias. It is not much better than Fishman.
Yeah. I'm a sea son, or son of the sea. That's the name of my people. I'd say it in my own tongue, but you wouldn't be able to pronounce it.
Have I heard
No,
anything
I'd
about these
imagine
people?
we rather lack the anatomy.
Yeah, you gotta have gills to do it right.
Can I
Oh,
ask you, can anybody become a son of the sea, or is that just something that's like, were you always this way? Did you become this way?
You weren't
I think
human
Brian
before,
is-
were you?
I think he'll answer that, but I think Brian wanted to do like a
Yeah, I just wanted to see if I had like heard or read anything about like Sons of the Sea.
Okay, give me a brains roll.
Sure, let's-
Difficulty probably a 6 or 7.
Okay, I got an 11.
Okay. You definitely heard about them. It is a legend of certain fishing communities in the New England coast that have interbred over the years with colonies of creatures from distant islands that are not human and that have passed on that aquatic lineage.
I'm surprised Son of the Sea is on the surface.
Oh, we live our lives on the surface until we're ready. Then we go down into the water.
Right, that makes sense. That's right, you do intermingle with our kind.
Yeah, I suppose I've got as much human blood as I've got other blood. Not that you really know it to look at me, though.
Well, I mean, quite a few people around here have blood other than human blood. I happen to have some blood other than human blood myself. Although how much of it has in common with your blood, I don't know. By the way, I did a brains roll on it too and got a 13.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, probably the same thing. Maybe a little bit more. They're connected to worship of strange oceanic deities. So often sought after for their knowledge of magic.
My father was a sea captain and had spoken fondly of your people before, so glad to turn around and do you a favor.
Well, you did me something of a favor. I worry if I might have just dug myself a deeper hole with Dally.
That piece of shite.
Yeah.
What is his involvement with all of this?
Started a few months back. He shows up in Rivermaw, that's my hometown. And we were hitting hard times even before this depression came around. Fishing just wasn't pulling in what it used to. Rivermaw always did seem kind of half drowned. Anyway, this Dally fella comes in, starts spreading around a lot of cabbage, making all kinds of promises. So old Zacharias, he listened to him. I figured, why not? Sea's not giving us what it used to. Let's try the land. But after Dally wormed his way in, he started offering money in exchange for knowledge. Started trying to learn about gods that mammals like you just shouldn't know about. Well, I did his bidding for a little bit, but when he started bringing up Abraxas, got too much.
Well, now he's just dealing with powers beyond his means.
Yeah, that's the trouble with his sort. Always think they're in control until they ain't.
No one's ever in control when it comes to Abraxas.
I tried to tell him that, but he wasn't listening.
And now,
Now, him and
because
his goons. Oh, go ahead, Isaac.
sorry, it's just now that he wants power, everyone else is going to pay for it.
Him and his goons have practically taken over Rivermaw. And then he he can't quite cry. I don't think Fish can cry. Viewers, please go ahead and write in if Fish can cry. But you can tell like his eyes are getting very big. And then he's like, "You got my guppies. My kids, he's holding them in Rivermaw. He was saying if I didn't do his bidding, give him the knowledge he wanted to help serve him out here, he'd hurt them. Then he had his creatures, the Abraxanites. He can summon them and control them. They brought me out here. I saw you fighting back. I thought might be a chance to escape, but now that it's done, I don't know what's going to happen."
Well, is he still holding your children back in your hometown? Or did he bring them out here with him?
No, they're all back in Rivermaw. He's got the whole town sewn up.
Quick question, how far away is Rivermaw from where we are?
It's gonna be about a day's car ride.
Oh, dang.
It's like way out on the coast. Like it's a very isolated, hidden fishing village, which is how they like it.
Sure. I was thinking like from one part of, it's not in Massachusetts then, because from one part of Massachusetts to another part of Massachusetts is never that long of a journey.
Oh, I didn't realize how small Massachusetts was.
Massachusetts is tiny. So tiny.
Mine is 2
You
hours.
can drive north to south across Massachusetts in like an hour now.
Oh, wow. All right, no, it's further up. Maybe it's in like Rhode Island or something.
Or Maine.
Or Maine.
Oh, it could be Maine, yeah. I was going to be like Rhode Island, the most cursed state. No.
If it was up in eastern Maine with the roads at the time, it could be a day's journey from Massachusetts because
we love the fact that Rhode Island is like a tiny little thing that's one town that somehow has 2 electoral college votes.
Oh.
It's so great. All right. Anyway,
Anywho.
sorry.
yeah.
If
If it's up in Maine, that makes a lot of sense. Maine would be with the roads the way they were then, that would be a day's travel easy.
Plus, fish
Totally.
people, village of fish people, Maine. Come on.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So my ancestors were fish people. That's why my eyes are wide set.
Oh. All right. So, gonna take a little while to get there. Zacharias says there's something he needs here too. It's called the Eye of Abraxas.
Well, at least everything's always Abraxas associated with him, so it's easy to remember.
Well, that's the
Abraxas
card
not.
he's playing.
And I suppose this is probably something he's gathering tonight from the Ordo Oculus.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption.
Actually, considering Oculus does mean eye of Abraxas, and that all makes sense, doesn't it?
Fair assumption.
Yeah, I bet it's probably he ingratiated himself with him, trying to use him for his own ends.
Well, my family's previous home is a horribly haunted place that nobody ever visits anymore, so that might be a safe place to put you up, or I can put you up in Honeywell Manor. We'll head out to Maine tomorrow. And take care of this whole Abraxas business tonight. Oh, Isaac, you might get to shoot him finally.
Oh, great. I've saved this for him. And Isaac just loads his favorite rifle. Sorry, a bit too much?
No, I just love how Isaac has a favorite rifle.
No, I mean, he's going to everyone else in character. Too much.
No, it's fine.
Probably a little hard to conceal.
Or
Might
should I
wanna
go with
a
this?
little
And he
more
pulls
info.
out a pistol. Nah, this is like...
Well, considering it's a party full of socialites and white supremacists, you might stick out a little bit anyway.
It's true.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Well, I mean,
Eh.
one of the guests is a white supremacist, but the party is a bunch of like, occultist socialite types. So they probably it wouldn't be out of place.
Oh, you know what? We could tell them you're Egyptian. I bet they'd just love that.
Egyptian.
They're very into Egypt.
I guess so. They wouldn't be able to tell the difference the way they are, anyways.
Oh, goodness, no. They're horribly ignorant people, although they have a lot of money.
Oh, sounds like rich people. No offense, Desdemona.
Oh, no, we're awful.
But if we can fool them for a little bit, just
And they
to
say
get
the poor are
close to them.
idiots.
What'd you
All
say?
right. Oh, go ahead.
I missed what Brian said.
Yeah.
I was just making a joke, and they say the poor are idiots. We're just uneducated.
Well, to be
Maybe,
quite
yeah.
honest, most people don't have very much sense. That's what I've found over and over again. But they mean well. Except for the ones that don't. But I think the number of people that are genuinely evil and malicious is very small. It's just most people are gullible and are easily lured by the promise of shiny things.
It's true.
I have no
Me and
comment
power.
to that.
Okay, so speaking of a small number of people who are pure evil, I would say you have a date with E.G. Dally. He'll probably be. Well, I think maybe he'll meet you there at Chambers Manor, which is where Philippa Chambers, the High Priestess, the Hierophant is what she's called, of Ordo Oculus, will be hosting their little get together. So how are you? Rest of you guys like showing up at the party? Are you like dressing up to try to enter as guests or sneaking in? What's the plan here to get to this manor bash?
We need invitations.
Well, I have an invitation, so here's what I'm thinking. If you don't mind me saying.
Mhm.
Obviously, with my condition, I need an assistant, so that gets Big Jack through the door immediately, as that he's a known commodity in my life.
Can you call your tailor quick?
I suppose so, or we could just use one of the many suits around the house. It's flattering. I can certainly try to reach out as well. Now, let's see, Brian, I believe that it's easy enough to tell people that you're a scholar as long as we don't run into those policemen that you tussled with.
Right. That's true. I could probably borrow one of Connor's suits. Maybe look a little bit more scholarly that way.
And, of course, Isaac will just say that you're, from Egypt. Then it's easy enough to write you all off as my entourage. Because, as a general rule, if you're going to a group of supposed Egyptologists, and if you bring along an Egyptologist and a man from Egypt, they tend to like to let you into the party if somebody's already vouching for them who has an invitation.
My God, they sound easy to fool.
Well, they're easy to fool if you have enough money, and I have more money than all of them put together.
All right. So we get in, find Dally. And let's see. Do we want to do it out there in the open or lead him into a secluded alley and knife him there?
Probably, if we're going to knife him, probably somewhere secluded. Words. Sorry. that was player not being able to word.
Okay, go ahead. No problem.
One thing we could probably look into is trying to find the location of the eye ourselves and possibly procuring it before it's handed off to.
I'm hoping that once we get you into the party, you might be able to do that. I'll, of course, distract the knight in white satin, as it were.
All right. Well, I think are we ready to head out to Chambers Manor?
Yeah, I guess she'll need to get an appropriate. Actually, there's no reason to dress anybody up as anything besides people going to a party.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I assume tuxedos, gowns, that kind of thing are suitable here. All right, and with that, it is time for, on Halloween, Nile Night. A yellow autumn moon looks down on a scene from purest fantasy. Oh, so I would say, you get in your car, head over into Millionaire's Mile, just passing by these giant mansions, huge estates, surrounded by forests and a few fields. Pretty soon you arrive at Chambers Manor itself. It's very, very big. Probably maybe a little bit smaller than Barrow Manor, but definitely up there in the square footage category. Already long line of fancy luxury automobiles, and there is parked outside, chauffeurs lounging, smoking, that kind of thing. You head in through those wrought iron gates. Butler leads you through the mansion and then out back to the grounds, the garden, where Nile Night is taking place. A yellow autumn moon looks down on a scene from purest fantasy. A madman's conception of ancient Egypt, transported to a New England garden. Plaster pillars that wouldn't be out of place in King Tut's tomb support bolts of midnight blue fabric. Statues of the animal-headed Egyptian gods watch over everything. The guests sport an odd mix of arrow collars and pharaonic headdresses, shimmering flapper dresses, and Cleopatra headpieces. Philippa Chambers, the Hierophant of the Ordo Oculus, greets the guests in a flowing midnight blue robe. With her bobbed hair and ivory cigarette holder, she's every bit the fashionable jazz-age hostess. "Welcome, darlings," she coos, "to Nile Night. You must be Desdemona Hartford."
Yes, Thank you for acknowledging my presence. Yes, indeed, I am Desdemona Hartford. It's quite a lovely estate you have here.
Oh, thank you. I've heard that your family, the Barrows, are neck-deep in the spirit world.
Oh, indeed. We've always been quite fascinated by the occult, as have the Honeywells. You could say that I'm a descendant of a long line of occultists. I've actually belonged to the Raindrop Society for Girls when I was a child.
Oh, how fascinating. And
oh, indeed. We had many lovely rituals out in the woods. We even summoned a ghost one time.
Oh, you'll have to tell me all about it.
Oh,
who are your charming companions?
Of course. Well, this is my dog Body, Big Jack here. He helps me out with the things that I need, considering my condition.
Pleasure.
Oh, Big Jack. Believe me, the pleasure is all mine.
We didn't establish a fake name for Isaac beforehand, but I think we would
no.
have.
I got one.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right. Pleased to meet you. I am Bayek. Come to America simply to explore what you've found. I've heard it's very interesting.
Ah, are you a native of that enchanted land by the Nile River?
You mean Egypt? Yes, I am. And I must say, the appropriation you have of my culture is flattering but disappointing.
Oh. Well, that's rather puts a damper on things, but I won't let it. I refuse to let it get in the way of a good party.
Let's hope so.
Perhaps you can consult him about authenticity upon your next soiree, of which I'm sure there shall be many. And of course, this man knows no introduction. She gestures at Brian and leaves it at that.
Brian, are you going to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Name's Connor Kelly. I am professor of antiquities and
I think
Brian
it was
would know this.
Yeah, you even know this. It's Harvard.
I wanted to say Harvard. Yeah, professor of antiquities at Harvard. I came on the behest of Desdemona just to see your lovely. See what you had there. See if I could glean a little more of the lands.
Oh, why, Professor? I've read some of your scholarly writings about ancient Egyptian funerary customs.
Oh yes, it's a fascinating subject. I mean, I would love to tell you more of my findings if
Oh,
if you'd be
indeed.
so.
You are a tad more Gaelic than I would have suspected.
Oh, it's hard to really. You can take the Irishman out of Ireland, but you can never take the whatever that Brian
Man
would know
out of
the phrase.
Irish, I don't know.
Yeah, take the Ireland out of the man.
You can
Oh,
take the man out of
true.
Ireland, but you can't take Ireland out of the man.
Yes, and my publishers made it seem like having, from an Irishman's perspective, might not be too keen for some.
So true. Well, anyhow, we're going to begin the ritual in just a bit. Please enjoy some lemon cakes. They're shaped like the pyramids.
Oh, fuck.
Lemon cakes, how fantastically accurate to the continent of Africa.
Is it? All I know is that they taste divine.
I'll be making a list to show you at the end of this party of everything you have gotten wrong.
Well, maybe I'll read it. Anyway, enjoy the party. And she heads off.
Oh, don't take her brusque manner with too much offense. Us rich dilettantes do love being corrected by people who are native to the countries. Makes us feel like we're putting in an effort.
Well, hopefully, Connor won't mind if I may taking his name for the evening.
I mean, it's a passable cover story. We certainly look enough like him.
All right. I would say at this moment you are spotted by E.G. Daly. He does have two bodyguards, two other paladins of the Pale Petunia. I think I was calling it the Order of the Pale, but it's the Paladins of the Pale. The
Paladins of
triple
Petunia,
P.
yeah, the triple P's.
I know. Are like
Paladins
lurking
of the Pale
around.
Petunia.
Yeah.
Yes, Paladins of the Pale Petunia. So two other paladins are like lurking around. I mean, you can tell he's like, dressed in the nines as well, fancy tuxedo. And of course, they got that Pale Petunia in their boutonniere, or as their boutonniere. The flower in their lapel. And he spots you, Desdemona, and heads right over with his guards kind of lurking back, sort of keeping watch. And he's like, Desdemona, looking ravishing tonight.
Well, and you cut quite the gallant figure yourself, sir.
Why, thank you. But I must admit, I'm not entirely here just to be looking good.
Well, whoever is.
Yes. There's going to be a little bit of a to-do later on this evening.
Oh?
I may have to leave rather soon. Would you care to accompany me?
Well, I think that would be absolutely lovely.
And then he's like, oh, my heart flutters at the prospect.
Indeed.
Looks over at the rest of you. He looks over at you, Brian, and he's like, do I know you?
I'd say we've ever met before. Connor Kelly. I'm sure you've heard of my writings.
Of Harvard, eh?
The very same place.
Oh, yes. I've studied some of your works. Most illuminating.
Sure it is. I've heard some very interesting things about you.
Well, I suggest you believe them all. And Desdemona, who are your other enchanting accompaniments?
Well, I mean, this is my dog's body, Big Jack. He helps me out with my chair at these sorts of events.
Big by name, big by nature, I see.
And big problem. Anyone who messes with Dez.
Oh.
Estates like this do tend to have rather a lot of stairs. It's important to have a very strong man to help me out with them.
Yeah, Big Jack, he's like, you can definitely tell he's like sizing you up. And he's like, well, something I've always noticed. Doesn't matter how big a fellow is. Just gotta hit them in the right place and down they go. Isn't that how things are in your experience?
I don't know. I haven't found that spot yet. However,
Oh, this is so cool. Sorry, that was such a great comeback. Amazing.
whatever she calls, she can handle herself. So, by all means, if Dez, is off with you for the night, then that's the plan.
And then who is this?
Isaac, I forgot your cover name.
Bayek, a visitor from Egypt. And you are, sir. And Isaac's just straight up staring daggers into Dally right now.
Ooh, I would say Dally's a bit unsettled by this. Like, he's not used to people. We're not calling his bluff. Like, staring back like that.
Yeah,
So he
one
actually
of
takes
the flaws is actually being dogmatic.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah, that makes sense.
He
Then.
really wants to kill Dally, but he's restraining himself.
Yeah, you can tell Dally's like a little scared. He like takes a little step back over on the grass, and he's like, "Well, pleasure, sir." Now, why don't you join us by the altar over there, under the eyes of Anubis and Bast? The show is about to begin.
Wow,
I'd rather wish to have front row seats.
how excellent.
So are
Wow.
we joining you, Mr. Dally?
He's like, I'll leave it up to Desdemona. Would you like to be by my side when the moment hits, or waiting in the wings while I carry your favor like the knights of old?
Hail Abraxas.
Ah, in that case, you can join me.
Okay.
All right, so he and his two bodyguards slide to a halt. Right now, everyone's kind of standing in a big semicircle. Philippa Chambers starts like doing the old tapping a champagne glass with a spoon, getting everybody's attention. All the various costume members of Ordo Oculus in their tuxedos and Egyptian in quotes headgear and masks make a bit of a semicircle before this altar set up between some statues of the gods. And you can see that Chambers is holding a book. Very old, clad in a reddish kind of leather, covered in strange letters that don't appear to come from any language. Probably in the center, some sort of strange occult sigil, similar to a pentagram, but lines are just a little too curly. And she starts opening it and says, tonight's selection was requested by Mr. Dally. Usually I would be a little... I don't like taking requests. I'm not some Tin Pan Alley musician. But he made a rather generous endowment to the Ordo. And for that, I shall try my best not to disappoint. Okay. The members of Ordo Oculus hold their hands above the flickering fire, while Chambers reads from the Devil Book. Her voice rises, the syllables twisting from English to a tongue that has rarely left the mouths of humans. A choking noise leaves her lips. A scream forming her words as lightning flashes above, then strikes down. The ozone scent, heavy and crackling in the air. Lightning strikes near, the flash bringing daylight to the ritual. Abraxas, Archon of Darkness, Lord of all, we conjure thee, she spits out sudden English. A piece of dancing green fire remains above the blaze, captured and alone, forming into a sphere, an eye with no pupil, of dark green. It watches everything. All right, so as soon as this eye congeals and appears together, Dally, I forgot my own character's name. I'm like, okay. Dally's hand leaves his coat, and his hand is wrapped in a glove of that glistening greenish black oil slick material the Abraxanites have for their bodies. And he like reaches out and grabs the eye. What are you guys doing? Letting it happen or trying to stop him here?
I imagine that somebody's going to try to stop him other than Desi.
I was gonna stab his hand.
That's kind of what I was
Oh,
thinking.
I thought you said stop his hand or stab his hand.
No, stab him.
Oh, okay, stab his hand. All right, so how does this look? Are you just like whipping out the knife and going in his wrist, or like trying to pin it to his side? What's describe the stab?
That's a good thing. Is Isaac currently right next to Dally, or kind of a bit away?
I would say you're pretty close by. You kind of, I think Desdemona said like she wanted to join him up in the front. So yeah, you're definitely close, within arm's reach for sure.
Okay. As soon as he reaches his hand to it, Isaac's just gonna flip out a knife, and faster than his bodyguards can reach him, stab his hand.
Ooh, okay. It's gonna be a fight roll.
No problem. 8.
Okay.
Does
I think
anybody
a
have
10
adversity tokens to spend? I'm fresh
Oh
out.
yeah,
but-
I would say a 10 is like a super successful stab. An 8 is a mildly successful stab. Oh, I see
Wow.
Dalla.
Got 2.
Okay, you're each gonna give him the 1.
Yeah,
Sure, I'll give him 1.
Okay, thanks.
All right, you bring it to a 10. Are you going like into his arm or like just in his palm kind of area? I'm just wondering like he was able to grab the eye before you stab.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure he's not able to grab anything. So his hand, yeah, right through the
All
middle
right.
of it.
Oh yeah, it goes right through. He like pulls his hand back and just like stares at the knife. Are you still holding on to it, or are you just like letting it go?
Yeah, letting it go. I've got other knives.
Oh, whoa, it's so cool. He's just like staring at this huge, bloody, I don't know, K-bar, is that the right?
Mhm.
If you're watching and you know knives, please let me know. What is the
Yeah.
particular knife that Isaac would have there? I don't
It's
know.
military issue. Yep. Okay,
Military issue. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably in military. Yeah.
Is this eyeball like floating in the air?
Yes. It's about the size of like a, what's the word? Like kind of a croquet ball.
Desdemona tries to like basically wheel herself around the group and is going like, oh no, somebody help! But the main intention is to whack the top of the wheelchair into the eye and like knock it sideways.
Ooh, okay. Dally like stumbles back and being like, oh, golly gosh damn it, and he's pointing to his bodyguards, and shouting like, what are you doing there? Massacre them! Both bodyguards shoving him back, drawing their guns. He's reaching out his other hand, still trying to get the eye. Desdemona,
Might-
go ahead and roll. Let's go with grit.
Okay. That's a 5.
Okay, yeah, just be a bit higher. Give yourself an adversity token. You do still have Darby following you around too if you want his help.
Oh shit! I forgot Darby was here.
Okay,
Who has teleport?
I do. I didn't. Do you want him to teleport somewhere?
Yeah, you can grab the eye and teleport.
Yeah, sure. That would be a very impulsive thing for him to do, which I also control. So I would say, like, in that thing, Darby's just like, oh, I believe I should do something, and teleports in, grabs it, and teleports out.
Okay, so that's going to be one more psychic energy token.
Yep.
All right, so that was the 5th one, so you now have 4 out of 7 energy tokens as Darby spirits away the eye. Okay, so Dally is like, he falls down on the grass, still holding his bleeding hand.
Can I take him hostage?
I don't think the angle works just that. You do have the 2 bodyguards between them who are going to be attacking you.
Dang. Oh, well.
Yeah, in fact, let's have Isaac roll grit and see what Big Jack's doing, as they're going to try shooting at Isaac.
Righto. What is my grit? D10 plus 1.
Okay.
7 altogether.
Okay. I mean, they are shooting you at a pretty close range. I think it's going to be non-fatal, but you are going to get hit. Probably in... Let's see. I'd say limb, but like we kind of already did that. Maybe like a shoulder blow.
Glancing shot, maybe?
It does take a bit of meat with it.
Nah.
Does that mean he gets an adversity token then?
Yeah, this is definitely adversity. It does, like, it knocks you down, you fall back on the grass. It's a pretty, like, it's an automatic pistol has fired you at a close range. So you are definitely, like, you can maybe get a few more shots back. You might pass out. But yeah, definitely you're not in good shape. This is like, there's no, like, health in Kids on Bikes. Like, if you take that damage, you are just a normal person. So if you were shot in a way that would kill a normal person, you will die. And, like, you did just pull out a knife and stab his hand while he has 2 bodyguards. So it's good to do, but there are consequences. All right, so Big Jack, what are you doing here?
I'm going to, with momentum if possible, run towards the first bodyguard, pick him up as I run into him, and slam him into the next one at the same time with all my weight.
Ooh, I like it. Do you think this would be fight or brawn? Because I didn't really see it being either.
I'm going to let you call it. I just thought that's something he would do, is just literally try to take out 2 with one with the other, basically.
All right.
And then either try to, like, pick up Isaac, or at least get him, try to, like, maybe help him get up,
Okay, let's go with fight.
Okay, all right.
Probably, I'm going to say difficulty 7.
I need the top end of this dice. Here we go. 7.
Ooh. Right on the dot.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so it goes off just as you said it would. You rush over, just grab one of those guards, slam into the other. They both tumble down. Definitely not able to fire back. Right now, there's been, like, a stabbing, gunfire. It's quite the Halloween. The Ordo Oculus worshippers starting to, like, dash back and freak out.
By the way, when that lightning bolt happened, did somebody get injured with that, or was that just it hit and...
No, it didn't strike anybody. There is, like, lightning flashing all over the place, though. You can see it crash down in the forest, and some's, like, zapping the area close by. So there's lightning all over. Dally, like, he falls next to the statue of Anubis, and he just, like, reaches up, his face a rictus of pain. He, like, wrenches out the knife, causing even more blood to shoot out. It mixes with that Abraxas goo on his hand, and then he puts it on the statue. statue of Anubis. That goo creeps up, starts curling its way like through the statue, which then leaves its pedestal where it was sitting and stands up very tall in front of you guys. He looks at you, Desi, and he's like, you traitorous hussy.
Oh, what did I do?
They were with you, the one who stabbed me.
Well, I clearly made a mistake in the people that I hired, didn't I? I thought that this was a very clever man from Egypt. That's what he told me. I didn't know that he had ulterior motives.
You're saying you had nothing to do with this?
I had absolutely nothing to do with this. I'm as horrified as you are, sir.
No, I just stabbed you because I hate you.
I'm beginning to suspect this man might not be from Egypt at all.
Yeah, think.
We're gonna have to roll charm here.
Oh, obviously.
It's gonna be a real tough one.
It's cocked.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, she didn't do it.
Okay, you can give yourself an adversity token if it was like a particularly big failure.
It was a 7.
Yeah, you have to get like an 18, a 19, or a 20, I think, to pull
Yeah,
that
I
out.
figured.
Okay, he's like, I should have known.
Oh my
All
goodness.
your kind just teasing me.
My kind. Oh dear, sir, are you also
Ugh.
racist against white people? I think that you've run out of people to hate at this point.
You are all going to pay.
Oh, how much? How much, darling? I can give you $500 right now to shut
Oh,
your
it's
stupid
gonna
little
cost
mouth.
you a lot more than that. I'll be
Oh my
taking-
goodness.
Shut up,
well-
and I'm going to pull out my pistol and shoot him.
Yes, please. Dust this guy.
Will it possibly cost me my legs? What on earth do you think you can take from me, dear boy?
Okay, Brian, give me a fight roll.
There you
Got one good one still. Bang.
5.
All right. Yeah, it's a glancing shot, but definitely does hurt him. And I think more importantly, he realizes like he probably is not gonna be alive for this anymore. So, he just like spins around and starts dashing off into the woods.
Oh, Isaac, I don't
Giant
suppose you have...
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Let's have Desi and then Isaac.
Yeah.
Oh, she was just gonna encourage Isaac to go after him.
Oh, I'm
she was
running
about to
for
say,
him.
Isaac, I don't suppose you brought your favorite gun with you.
Oh, I did. I always bring my favorite gun. Why wouldn't I bring my favorite gun?
Okay, Isaac. As you try and follow him, though, that giant animated statue is between you and him.
That's where I was gonna come in.
Okay.
I am gonna spend my 2... Oh, sorry.
So I'm gonna say, Isaac, it's gonna try and like grab you. Maybe either go for a punch or a grab. Go ahead and roll grit.
Hmm.
And keep in mind, you are already injured from a gunshot.
Right. So this might not go too well.
Yeah, this is gonna be pretty. Unless you roll pretty high, it's gonna be kind of rough for you. We'll see how you do.
A 7. I do have an adversity token, so I'm going to make that an 8, if that helps.
All right. I would say you're not injured any further, but it does grab you by like your. I'm trying to think of how big this thing would be. Probably by like your shoulder. Thankfully, the unwounded one, and kind of like hauls you up into the air.
Oh, come on. All I just wanted to do today was kill a virulent racist. That's so bad.
Okay, Desi.
Okay, so the thing I was gonna do, I'm spending 2 adversity tokens to be prepared. I have brought a book about deactivating the effects of the Abraxans with me, as that we had researched that the previous day.
Ooh, all right. I like
And
it.
I toss it over to Brian to take care of it because Desi acknowledges that he is much more scholarly than she is about this. She just is very prepared. So do your thing, Brian. Do your thing and get that thing to stop hurting our friend so he can go off and kill that racist prick.
See, even she agrees with me.
Of course I agree with you.
Of course. It's obvious that that dude's a prick. Sure. And then, so I'll flip through the book and find it real quick. And
All right. Let's check back to Big Jack. Something we forgot. Those 2 bodyguards that he smashed together. He didn't kill him.
Nope. No, I did not.
They're
So-
both in back up. I would say one reclaims his pistol, which is like an automatic. The other goes to his like pulls up his pants leg, where he has a knife in an ankle sheath, and like pulls that knife free.
Okay. Can I try to grapple the guy with the gun and force him to shoot the guy with the knife?
Whoa! All right.
Mhm.
I think definitely
James Bond
fight.
shit.
Yeah, or John Wick.
I'm
Yeah,
just,
definitely.
just trying to do what I can in the moment. What do I got to do?
This is gonna be fight.
Okay.
It's kind of a tricky maneuver. Let's make it like be an 8.
Oh my god. I got to explode this dice. Come on, please, 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 please. 6. Close, but no.
Okay.
I'm
I
out of
don't have
tokens.
any tokens to give you. I'm
I'm
sorry.
out. Yeah, I'm out
You
too.
have Darby still if that wants to. You want to use it. He's got a few left.
Oh,
But I would say with a 6, you don't get the pistol man to shoot knife man. You do tackle him. He's like, trying to bring the pistol around. You like get his wrist and you shove it up. He fires into the sky, but he does not hit anybody.
gotcha.
Can I have Darby do a thing? Because I've got control flames.
Yeah, go for it.
There are a lot of open flames around.
Oh yeah, braziers, torches, it's the whole thing.
So as the guy with the knife charges forward, one of the braziers suddenly erupts and catches him on fire.
Whoa. Okay. All right, let me just mark that. You now have 3 out of 7 left. You think Darby says anything? Darby get a cool one-liner as this child ghost sets a man on fire?
Mm.
Looks like this party's really heating up.
I love it.
I'm not the one in charge of anything clever on his part. I'm just on naive and Earl King duty, but
That is pretty naive.
yeah, it is pretty naive.
But yeah, at least Knife Guy's out of the picture as he like runs screaming away and then starts, trying to put himself out, but he's definitely out of commission. Okay, check in with Brian about that giant statue.
Sure. So yeah, I'm guessing. Do you think that would be like a brains roll to see if to look through the book and be able to comprehend / use it?
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead and roll brains.
One hasn't been too bad.
Yeah, that Brian luck has not hurt you so far.
Yeah. Would I be able to use the skill dat, or no, or would this be just straight intelligence?
This should be one of your skill dats because this falls under your skill dat, so you should get the extra +3, I'd think.
Mhm.
Cool.
I'm not the
so
DM,
then-
I just,
I mean,
No, I-
yeah, unless. Sorry, what was that, Michael?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool. So that would be 17 in total
Mm.
with the +3 and the usual adult +1.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty handy success.
Cool.
Okay, so you find the right sort of chant to read. Yeah, I would say you utter it, and the Abraxas goo that's animating this giant statue congeals its way out of the joints and splatters down into a puddle, then forming up into its gooey tentacular form. Isaac, the statue does drop you. Didn't have you too far up, but you're pretty out of it as you hit the ground.
Ow. I think I can still move.
Not in big man.
All right, if everyone has the situation under control, I'm gonna go find Dally. He should-
Okay, well, Isaac, unfortunately, you've landed right next to an Abraxanite. So that's kind of the main danger facing you.
Dang it! It's always something.
Can I toss Isaac my cold iron knife?
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
You can just reach over. I think maybe reach over and hand to him. I don't need to throw a knife at him.
Okay.
with one arm. That could go really badly if you roll poorly.
Fair.
But yeah, you get the knife. Isaac, what do you do with it?
Okay, I'm going to stab this thing repeatedly until it stops moving.
Okay, go ahead and roll fight.
It's what Isaac does. You know, I now realize that I've turned Isaac from the funny fat guy kid into a somewhat psychotic ex-soldier.
I mean,
Yeah, it's a
Or we'll
real.
do it
Like,
to
it's
you.
one of the biggest transformations of the characters, I think.
We've also aged quite a bit.
yeah.
So
I mean, 30 years plus a war.
Yep.
Yeah.
that'll change a person.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a 6.
Okay.
I am right next to this thing now.
Yeah. So with the 6, you like dice it up pretty good. You can feel that its gooey body is evaporating a bit, but it's going to take some flame to finish the job.
Do we have any fire on hand?
There are lots of
I guess-
torches and decorations around. Big Jack, you are still wrestling with the guy who's holding the pistol.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna see if I can sort of force it towards him, and then pull the trigger.
Okay. Let's go with Braun.
All right, come on, Jack. You got to be kidding me. That's a 3.
Okay.
That's my oh man, that's my second nat 20, or not 20, but 20 failure. Wow.
Give yourself an adversity token.
Yep.
All right. I think he knees you.
Oh, I know what happens.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I think the gun doesn't go towards him on a 3 out of 20. That I'm feeling like it's not in his direction. That's my feeling. But you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think what happens is he knees you real hard in the ribs, like knocking you over. He gets up and looks down at you and is like, "We're gonna dance again, big man, sometime soon." And then he shoots you. It's gonna hit you in the leg.
How do you expect me to dance?
And then he dashes off into the woods as well.
Oh, is there anything I can do? I haven't been asked if I'm doing
Oh, yeah,
anything
go
in a
ahead, Des.
while. I mean, while all this is happening, I've taken out my own pistolero,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to shoot this gentleman before he even attempts to dash. When he's like, "Oh, we're gonna dance again," and he's like, "How do we do that without a leg?" And that's when Desi shoots the guy.
Okay, go ahead and roll fight.
Okay. That's bad. So she doesn't do that. It's a 3.
Okay, you take a shot at him, but it is a miss.
I'll take that adversity token.
He is able to make it out into the woods. At this point, Philippa Chambers is peeking out from a pillar in her yard, and says, "The police have been summoned. You need to leave."
Do you realize what kind of creatures you're summoning here, don't you?
Isn't there still an Abraxan out
Yes,
here?
I'm currently trying to fight with this fish.
Excuse
Yep.
me, Philippa. There's a demon out in your yard that I'm trying to take care of right now.
Well, deal with it, please.
Well, thank you very much.
Currently knife fighting with this thing.
I'll
Someone
grab a
going to
torch
help.
and sort of and
Okay,
Oh my-
Brian, go ahead and roll a quick fight for that one.
or
Just to shove a one-handed torch into it.
5.
Okay,
I have one adversity token if need be.
Yeah, I think a 6. I think a 5 would be like a bare success. A 6 would be a pretty solid success.
Okay, I'll use it then.
Yeah, it's already been cut up by Isaac's knife, so a 6 takes care of it. Burns it up into nothing there. And Philip was like, "Well, for removing that unsightly goo pile, I'll lie to the police and say that it was, I don't know, a gang of ruffians or something."
Or you could
Wow.
say it was Eustace Gaines Dally, who did summon the creature and the Anubis statue.
Indeed, Philippa. I should let you know that we were trying very hard to save your life from that man. He had you pulled something out of the Devil's Book, which I certainly hope that you still have, and which was stolen from Harvard, by the way, which we would very much like to return. That is why I have a scholar from Harvard with me, as well as an expert assassin from the Dark Continent.
In that case, the book is yours.
Well, thank you very
Thank you
much for
kindly.
the labor.
You do realize that summoning Nabraxis is not a good idea.
I thought it would be fun.
You're
Fun.
messing with things man
Summoning
should not
an
mess
ancient, mysterious, like godlike creature. That would be fun.
Well, you have to admit, it was rather fun until the stabbing and the shooting started, wasn't it?
You do realize that that creature could destroy this entire world.
Oh. Well, I never thought of it like that. I just thought
Well,
it
maybe
was-
you should think about it before you're doing stuff like that. Think of the
Meanwhile,
consequences.
my poor manservant has been shot in the leg by that beastly fellow. Look at him over there. He can't push around my chair like that.
Why don't we put him in the guest room? I'll
My
have to
goodness.
summon a doctor and someone who's discreet. I often get him to patch up my guests when rituals go awry.
Good. Does he know how to treat gunshot wounds?
I suppose he can figure it out. Anyway, you're all welcome to
Got it.
stay for a little bit while I get matters straightened out.
Right. And of course, I do appreciate your secrecy on the matter, and I hope you can appreciate why I had to keep my true mission a secret. I couldn't let that dreadful Mr. Dally on to the fact that we knew about these things.
I understand that, and I actually find the prospect of secrets rather enticing.
Indeed.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
you may stay in the guest quarters, and I'll summon the doctor.
Thank you kindly.
All right, so you guys spend Halloween night laid up. Two of you with severe injuries. Not the best time. The doctor does his best. He gets the bullet out of you. But Isaac, firearms are going to be pretty tricky. At least two-handed ones are.
Just say, you three gentlemen, if you were trying to even up the playing field for me, you didn't have to go out of your way to do it.
Dallas, he gets your leg patched up. You're going to have to walk with a crutch for a little while.
I got plans for that.
Oh, okay.
It's called a
Mind.
motorcycle.
Oh, I love it. Because early the next morning, or actually, just thanks to your injuries, you're probably housebound for like another day or so. Darby does reappear with the eye, which we'll check in about where you're keeping it and what you're doing with it a little bit later. But you do get a phone call at the Chambers house.
Mhm.
Philippa, is like listening to it, and then she like brings it in. They couldn't put phones on speakers, so you couldn't turn on speaker, of course, back then. So she like holds up the little horn, the trumpet with the words coming out, and you hear Dally's voice, sounding very distant, but he says like, "I do hope you can hear me out in Rivermaw. Well, they're not known for their telephones. I understand you have something that I want. Is that not so?"
I don't know if we can respond to him.
Can we respond?
Yeah. Philippa holds up the receiver too.
Oh, hello, Mr. Dally. How lovely to hear from you. How is the great state of Maine? Still filled with pine trees and rednecks, I suppose.
One must endure such indignities in the interests of one's crusade.
It's a crusade now.
Oh, it always has been.
Why are you even
Mr.
doing this, Dally?
Well,
This isn't shit.
maybe you could ask Professor Connor Kelly, though that's not right, is it? Because I have the real Professor Connor Kelly right with me, along with his wife and children.
Of course you do. You
And-
daft git.
I found somebody else, some of my associates, shipped her up by gyrocopter at a moment's notice. A lost little girl named Delia. All of them. Oh, go ahead.
You know, if you're going to threaten me with family members, you could have at least picked one that I like.
Well, I imagine after I start getting interested in Delia, you might be changing your mind. Anyway,
Oh,
bring the Eye of Abraxas to Rivermaw, and we'll make the trade. Otherwise, your loved ones, and this offer extends to Zacharias, of course, that traitorous fish. Otherwise, all of your loved ones are going to experience just how cruel Eustace Gaines Dally can be.
Mr. Dowley, a word of advice for you while you are in the Pine Tree State. If any of the residents ever tell you you can't get there from here, all it means is simply they do not like you. I'd imagine you've heard it rather a lot since you arrived. We shall be there and negotiate our own terms, but you won't know when. But I assure you they shall be negotiated swiftly and possibly to the back of your stupid head.
Whoa. And I think with that zinger, we are going to bring this episode of Strange Generations to a close.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we'll come back for the conclusion. That is not dead, which can eternally lie. The showdown in Rivermaw, where I think our heroes and E.G. Dally are going to go head to head, and we will see who walks away.
Sweet.
All right.
This has been awesome.
Eat slowly.
Oh,
It's his own stupidity for believing that I was Connor.
Well, I think he afterwards he figured it out. You know, he did a little research and he realized ooh, hostages. So.
Yeah.
Why did I stab the hand instead of just stabbing the guy?
It's your decision, darling.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the stabbing the guy might not have been fatal, and stabbing the hand stopped him from getting the Eye of Abraxas, which
Makes sense.
Fair. Yeah.
I was not sure if you guys were going to stop from getting it or not. I was like, are they going to stop him? Because
I had an idea of possibly.
If he gets his hand on it.
Yeah.
No,
I had
we
an
were trying
idea
to
of.
be polite, I think.
Yeah. For a point. I did have an idea of shooting the eye with a cold iron bullet.
Oh, ooh, man. Okay, that might still happen.
well, if we ever bring back Big Jack and the Fishman show, we do have. From what some of a viewer has explained is fish cannot produce tears. Whether that is an essential part of crying is up to you. Right? I was like, thanks for that, Michelle. Well, Grey Mouse. That was awesome. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in and hanging out. And thanks for this, you guys. This is amazing. We've got one more of this series until we get into the next section.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see what happens.
Third done with the whole Strange Generation. So very exciting. The 1950s as kids, back to being youngsters again, is coming up.
Uh-oh. So thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out this. You know, if you are tuning in live, this is your first episode that you've tuned in on, go ahead and go back there to our social medias, to our YouTubes and our Twitches, and catch up on the other episodes. But
we have gobs of entertainment.
There's tons of stuff out there, but focus on this one for now, especially if you just tuned in, because you might get lost in the sea of amazingness that we've created.
Don't overwhelm yourself.
Yeah, don't. No. So that gives you plenty of time between now and next Tuesday to pull up a chair and make
time to tabletop.
See what I did there? I did that on accident. All right. See you guys. Good night.
Yeah.
Good night, folks.
Thank you.
Don't worry, today's